Hello everybody, Eternal God Possibilities here, back again to give you some pretty good and, interesting entertainment. As you can see, I'm starting a new What If, and I'm doing a double upload tonight. So you're getting two new What Ifs. As you can tell from the title of this What If, it's going to be a pretty interesting one. Before I get started with the video, I'm going to say that it's going to start... I'm making one change to the Black Clover story. Both Yuno and, Asta will be arriving at Hodge Village 2 months early prior to canon. And before they actually enter Hodge Village, they both run each other under the Demon Skull. And that's pretty much it. Hope you guys like the video. With that out of the way, let's get to the what if. Starting now. As both Asta and Yuno return to Hodge Village 2 months early prior to canon, they both make a stop at the Demon Skull and run into each other, greeting each other and then asking the other if they would like to spar to see how far they gotten in their 4 months of training. As their little sparring session happens, one of Yuno's stray wind spell veers off its course and hits a huge boulder. After it then destroying it, and then revealing an opening into a cave. When this opening is revealed, Yuno turns his head and senses a huge mana presence coming from it. He tells Asta this, and it grabs their attention. Then they both go into the cave that's under the Demon Skull. As it's happening, they see strange, looks like ruins. As they continue on, they run into lots of magic beasts. They killed a few, and then as they're going through, they find a strange door, and they open it, and leads into a room filled with stone statues, with one in the middle, one giant one in the middle, sitting in a chair. As they walk in to explore, they see a stone tablet with an angel-like being wearing an angel-like statue holding a tablet. Yuno reads it out loud enough for Asta to hear it. It says, those who come in, or whatever, must abide by these 3 rules. Worship the Lord. Praise the Lord. Then, third and last, prove your faith. After read that out loud, he senses the mana in the room changed. Started to elevate. He turns his head and sees the giant statue's eyes looking at both of them. He yells at Asta to look out. As Asta turns around, the statue starts shooting beams out of its eyes. Luckily, both of them were fast enough to dodge it. Had a quick enough reflex to dodge it. As that happens, realize that they trying to figure out he learns that they must follow the rules of that tablet. He's trying to figure out how do they worship that thing. I'm saying this because Yuno's pretty smart, and he would probably figure it out a lot faster than Sung Jin Woo. And he yells at Asta, "Yeah, get down on your knees and bow." Asta doesn't know what the heck does he mean by that. He yells, He yells this while freaking out. Then Yuno says, "Just do it, you idiot." He does, gets on his knees and bows to the giant statue. As both of them bow, the attacking stops. As both of them bow, it completely stops. But the statue's still looking at him. But it looks at him with a horrible grin. As that happens, both of them get up. Then, as Yuno walks up to Asta, telling him they must abide by those 3 rules. We've passed the first one. Well, first test, or whatever this is. Now they just gotta figure out the next 2. As he says this, he starts to think on the clue on the second rule. Well, the second test, the praise the Lord. He's thinking as he looks at the different statues. He sees that most of them are holding weapons, but there's 2 of them. Because there's not a whole bunch of people there, I'm going to say it's just 2 people. Just 2 statues holding instruments. He sees this. He tells Asta to walk over to that statue with the instrument. As Yuno walks over to the other one. Asta just says, "Okay." He does what Yuno says, and both of the statues start to play their instruments. As that happens, a weird pedestal starts to rise out of the ground in front of the stone statue the biggest statue. As that happens, a bunch of weird flames start to appear. And after seeing this, all the statues start to move and walk towards both Yuno and Asta. Realizing this, they need to get on the pedestal. As they do, Yuno yells this out and both Yuno and Asta run to it. They do, but the statues are still coming, as they see a weird flame just dying out. Yuno says, "We gotta stay on this until that thing goes off." Asta's freaking out, but he goes with it. As that happens, the stone statues start to move closer, but slowly. As that happens, Yuno releases a few wind spells, trying to slow them down. Slow those stone statues with weapons down. It works somewhat, but not good enough. When it happens, the stone statues that weren't being looked at by Asta and Yuno come up to him. One almost cleaves Yuno in half, and Asta blocks it with his Demon Slayer sword, which actually destroyed the statue weapon. Literally broke it. Asta's thinking, these things must be made of magic, so my sword may be able to destroy them. But, spoken too late, as for another stone statue cuts Asta's arm off that was holding the Demon Slayer sword. Asta yells in pain because he got his arm ripped. It literally cleaved off. Yuno stops his attacks and tries to help Asta. As that's happening, as the statues move closer and closer, Asta and Yuno, as their life flashed before both of their eyes, they see something appear in front of their face. They both see a weird screen asking both of them, "Would you like to become a player?" And it says, "If you don't accept, you die. Your heart will stop and die." They both just hit yes. As that happens, a huge light appears, then both Asta and Yuno pass out. As that happens, well, a few hours later, they both wake up, still on the same pedestal, but everything disappeared. The stone statues and everything. And Yuno looks over and sees Asta's arm is back. He yells this, and Asta looks over, and just screams, then just starts crying, saying, "Thank God! Was that all a dream?" But they notice they're still on that same pedestal, and looking over to see, Asta's severed arm, which they both somewhat internally freak out. Yuno does that, but Asta verbally freaks out. They both then notice that there's a weird screen in front of them, and that's scared that they see that. Which they do, actually. Since both of them were asked to become players, they both can see each other's screen, or whatever you call it. They both see it, and then they see that the opening is just. They worry about that later, and they try to get out of the cave, but they notice the cave entrance and where they came from, it's just shortened. They literally have just a small walk out of the cave. As that happens, they just relax right outside of the cave under the demon skull in the grass next to a rock. As they try to inspect, Yuno tries to inspect this thing that appeared in front of him. He notices this weird system saying, he sees these. He says a few things, and it shows him his inventory, his character build, pretty much, stats, everything. He somewhat gets it. He thinks that he doesn't know exactly what it is, but he just. I don't really have the words because this, but yeah. Then Yuno sees the daily quests, and asks Asta if he sees this. Does he have a daily quest too? He says this, then the screen automatic pulls up daily quests. Both of them have the same exact daily quests. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and a 10-kilometer run. Yuno asked Asta if he could test something out. Asta says, okay. He asks him to do the daily quest to see what happens. When it comes to working out, Asta is gung-ho for it because it's still working out. Even though they just went through this entire endeavor, He's, yeah, pretty much. He does this, and with his already physical strength, he has no problem doing it. Finishing it up in no time. As it happens, he's given a choice to choose one of 3 rewards. Yuno takes a look at this reward thing, and he asks him to choose stat points. Asta does, and it says, and then it takes him to his, well, stat points, and he sees all of his current stats. Then Yuno pulls up his stats and he looks at them. Both of them look at it and compare. And that's, yeah. And here's their stat points. Okay, guys, that's the end of the What If for today. I recorded a longer video because there was a lot of stuff I wanted to put in, and I wrote everything down for their stats and the HP and all that. And as you can see, it's all at the end of the video. And also, I messed up on one thing. I didn't have time to change it, but yeah, you'll know what well, you'll see the change in the next video. So, bye. That's the end. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel.